Nobody warns you about the almost. Everyone talks about heartbreak. Everyone has language for being left, being rejected, being told clearly and finally that someone does not want you. That kind of pain has a name. It has a shape. It has a beginning and eventually an end. But nobody prepares you for the specific devastation of being almost chosen, of existing in the space between yes and no, of being wanted enough to be kept close but not enough to be chosen, of watching someone look at you, really look at you, and then turn slightly and choose the direction that was not you. That pain does not have a clean name, and it does not have a clean end. What almost chosen actually looks like. It does not announce itself. That is the cruelty of it. Almost chosen does not arrive with a clear rejection you can process and move past. It arrives as something that looks, from the outside, almost like being loved. They texted you first, consistently, for months. They told you things they said they had never told anyone else. They sought your opinion. They remembered what you said. They showed up when you needed them in ways that made you believe you mattered in a particular, irreplaceable way. And you did matter. That is the part that makes this so difficult. You were not imagining it. The connection was real. The moments were real. The version of themselves they showed you was real. You just were not the one they ultimately chose to build something with. And the gap between mattering deeply to someone and being chosen by them is one of the most painful distances a human being can stand in. Why it hurts more than rejection. Clean rejection is honest. It says, this is not right. It closes a door clearly. The mind, whatever its initial protest, can eventually accept a closed door, can eventually stop reaching for a handle that is no longer there. But almost chosen does not close the door. It leaves it open, just not wide enough to walk through. And so you stand there, able to see everything on the other side, able to feel the warmth from the other side. Close enough that the distance seems like something small, something that one right moment, one honest conversation, one brave decision could close forever. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. The pattern of receiving enough to keep hoping but never enough to feel secure. Research consistently shows that this specific pattern creates a deeper, more persistent attachment than consistent love ever could. The almost does not feel like less than love. It feels like love with something missing that you keep trying to find. And finding it feels perpetually one conversation away. That proximity, that endless, almost there quality, is what makes this pain unlike any other. Rejection tells you it is over. Almost chosen keeps telling you it is not over yet, what you were really experiencing. Here is the truth about the person who almost chose you. They were not lying. What they felt was genuine. The connection was not manufactured. They were not deliberately stringing you along with calculated cruelty. What was happening is something far more human and far more painful than deliberate deception. They were choosing between what they felt and what they feared, between the depth of what existed with you and the comfort of something safer, between the real and the familiar, between the relationship that would have required them to grow and the one that allowed them to stay exactly who they already were. You represented something that required courage, and at the moment of choosing, they found that their courage had a limit. That limit was not about you. It was never about you. You were not found lacking. They found themselves lacking. The difference matters. Not immediately. The pain in the immediate aftermath does not care about the distinction, but over time, as the clarity comes, it matters enormously. Being almost chosen does not mean you were not enough. It means the person doing the choosing was not yet enough for what you deserved. The weight of the undefined. Part of what makes this so hard to carry is that it has no official status. You cannot grieve it the way you grieve a relationship, because officially there was no relationship to lose. There is no moment you can point to and say, this is when it ended. No clear before and after. What you lost was a possibility, and losing a possibility is a particular kind of grief that the world does not fully acknowledge. People around you do not entirely understand why you are still affected. After all, nothing formally happened. You were not together. You were not broken up. You were simply almost. And that almost sits in the body in a specific place that does not go away quickly. It lives in the moment you see their name and feel something that has not faded the way logic told you it should have by now. It lives in the conversations you replay, looking for the moment you could have said something different. It lives in the particular way you notice things about them that the person they chose might not even see. What this pain is teaching you. But here is what almost chosen does for you that clean rejection cannot. It shows you exactly what you are capable of feeling. The depth of the connection you can create. The quality of love you are able to offer. The standard you carry for what real intimacy looks like. Because what you experienced, however incomplete, however undefined, however ultimately unavailing, was not nothing. It was a preview of the level of connection you are capable of, and the person who finally chooses you, fully, clearly, without hesitation, will be choosing someone who has already proven they can love at that depth. The almost was not wasted. It was education, painful, expensive, unasked for education in exactly what kind of love you're looking for. And more importantly, what kind of love you will no longer accept substitutes for. You will never again be content with someone who keeps you in the space between yes and no. You will never again mistake being kept close for being truly chosen. That knowledge, earned through this specific pain, is something no comfortable relationship could have taught you. The last truth, being almost chosen, broke something in you, but what it broke was the part that was willing to accept almost, the part that was willing to stay in the undefined space, hoping that patience would eventually become permission. The part that made itself available to someone who had not yet found the courage to fully receive what was being offered. That part needed to break, not because it was weak, because it was too generous with people who had not yet earned that generosity. What remains after the almost, after the grief, after the slow and unglamorous process of accepting what was never going to be, is something clearer. A person who knows their own worth, not because someone confirmed it, but because someone failed to, and they survived it. A person who will recognize real chosen when it arrives, because it will not feel like almost, it will feel like finally. Right. I know this pain in the comments, not to reopen the wound, but to acknowledge that what you went through was real, and it mattered, and you are still here. Please like this video, share it with someone who is still standing in the space between yes and no, and subscribe so you never miss a message that was made exactly for where you are. See you in the next one.